Hello, everybody. Welcome to Astrano's podcast. We're so excited to have you here with us today. We're going to be talking about movement and how important it is with the nervous system and just in general health. So we're super excited to talk about our experiences with movement and all that beautiful stuff. So I'm Grace and
Okay.
I am Alyssa.
You know the vibes.
Hi guys, I'm Mella.
I'm Rebecca.
Yay! And I think the first thing that I want to bring up is just some sciencey facts about the physical body, because movement is so important in basic health. I mean, even like basic doctors, MDs will tell all of their patients, like, are you moving your body? Because it's really good for your heart, all your organs, your tissues, your cells. It's good for just basic health. So I'm just going to bring up just a couple notes that I have here about what it is good for. And we can move through that. So it moves your blood effectively into all your cells and tissues, which detoxifies your cells and fatty tissues. So when you're moving, especially this is good for the lymphatic system too, is that when you're moving your body, you're like allowing toxins to be released. And this also ties into spirituality as well. Like when you have density in the body, if you allow yourself to move through it, it'll come out of you quicker, like all toxins, spiritual, and as well the basic toxins that you get from pollutants in the air, from the food, from basic bad bacteria, etc. So that's a big one.
I have a question. What's the lymphatic system?
So the lymphatic system is, as far as I'm not like 100% knowing on this, but I know that it's big for drainage. So it's like toxins in the body will get stored in the lymphatic system. So you have a lot of, I think one of your biggest lymphatic spots is your armpits. So that's why the armpits get really smelly, is that they're big spots for the lymphatic system. So when you're like jumping, like a lot of people will use trampolines or rebounders to jump, and that allows the lymphatic system to drain. As well, people believe that women often get breast cancer too, because if the breasts and the armpits, like people don't pay attention to that area, and then bras as well, they cut off circulation in this area and it gets too toxic. So the lymphatic system needs to be drained, and it needs to, I mean, all systems in the body need to be drained and have good energy flowing through them. So
it's kind of like a river. Hey, if there's a blockage on the river, it kind of gets muddy and murky, and then so that's kind of like the body. So it's very interesting.
100%. Yeah, the body mimics the earth, right? Yeah, 100%. And I'm just gonna go through a couple more here. So the cardiovascular, that's a big one with movement, is the heart, because we want, when the heart is allowed to pick up pace in its thumping and its beating, you can strengthen it, and that allows more blood to flow through your body, which is really important. And yes, so there's lots of ways to move your body. Some of the stuff that we were talking about just where we started is obviously dance, qigong, cardio, running. Like there's some basic stuff that humans have been doing for so long, and then there's more, I would say, stuff that people have started doing recently, like strength training, which causes a lot of stress on the muscles, because a lot of them aren't like natural movements that we would actually be doing if we were like living organically, naturally. Like nobody's gonna be, I don't know, just if you've been to the gym, you probably know that there's a lot of pains, and a lot of these people do end up having to stop going to the gym because it does cause too much stress on the body. So what are your guys's, sorry?
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, tearing. I had a friend that would do rowing, and they always told me that it was like dying, which is like, how is that enjoyable? because you have to like row so hard, your body like thinks it's gonna die practically.
It's like dying. Yeah, it is crazy. Even like the Olympians, like they'll train all day, every day, just for the medal. And I mean, some people that is like I truly do love movement, but I don't understand. Yeah, like I feel like that it has kind of become like this very painful thing that a lot of people like dread the gym too now, right? It's like, God, I don't want to go to the gym, but I have to. And yeah, I wanted to ask, like, what's your guys' favorite form of movement?
I love yoga. I feel like that is my favorite thing. Do you know what I also like? Being here more where my sister lives and being near water. Kayaking. Like I love kayaking and just connecting with nature. And there's a lot of seals around, which is fun. Like the little baby seals, they go up on their backs and they just float around. They're so cute. So it's just like getting active, moving your body, and also like just having fun. Love that.
Yes.
Yeah, I love to take walks. I walk really slowly because I like to just like enjoy things and take a look at things that are around. I'm like, ooh, like that rock looks really cool, or like that moss looks really soft to touch, you know, just moving in. It's really, really a good way for movement for me.
Yeah, new mushrooms that are growing, berry bushes. I don't know. Going around with like a book to see what everything is.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah.
For me, I played like high level soccer for my whole life. So I've been in that routine of like, you know, practicing 3 times a day, you know, like before school, and during school, after school, and like just fitness and yeah, like you get burnt out doing that. You know what I mean? It's good to bring balance into your workout and like what you do to move every day. And so now, since I like did that for a good chunk of my life, like just crazy endurance and stuff like that, I love Qigong now because it's like slow, it's flowy. You can like work with energy, you know, at the same time that you're doing movements. And like, yeah, like kind of like yoga, right? You can do lots of stretching. It just opens the body up for way more flow. But I also still do love to like sprint. Like if I go to the gym, I'm on that treadmill, I'm gonna like full out sprint and look like that psycho that's making so much noise and then slow down. Like I don't really have a middle ground when I'm working out like that. I'd rather just go all out. But yeah, I really love the yoga. Grace led yoga the other day at our event and I enjoyed that. I used to really not like yoga, but I think I could probably get back into it. And yeah, I love Qigong. I really highly recommend. You can go on YouTube and just type in Qigong and there's tons of teachers. You can do like a 10-minute exercise and see what it's like if you haven't done it before.
Yeah.
I'm
for
definitely
me,
gonna check that out.
yes, Qigong. For me, I'm a mix of Rebecca and you, Alyssa, because I love walking as well. And I would also walk really slow if it's just me. I'm just like, oh, a flower, oh, nice. But then when I'm working out, I would also do that sprint where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna run. I'm gonna prepare myself for like that full sprint as fast as I can, and like, and just go all out. And then and basketball, sports, you know, and also I'm doing a little bit of yoga now, so it's really good to move the body. So those are my favorite movements.
And it's nice, like the variety between some days you want to slow down, like depending on where you're at energetically. Like some days you don't have a ton of energy to exert, and then other days you just have so much that you're ready to release and work through, right? So yeah, like for me, I love doing cardio as well as, you know, some days it will just be like yoga or Pilates or even dance. Like there's so many different forms of movement, right? And we were talking about too, like dance is such an ancient form of movement and like ceremony of the self. it's like a meditation and a prayer, and yeah, I don't know, it's such a beautiful form of movement, dance. And twerking.
Love it. Signal.
Let's do it. I don't know how to twerk, guys, but
Beautiful demonstration.
that's my 1 minute, 2 second twerk.
Beautiful, yes. So that was
Definitely. I'm definitely
That's like
in the kitchen doing that one later.
It's so good for your lower, I mean, obviously this is said for women mostly, like the hips, and as well for the men, I believe too, like the lower back, the hips, the pelvis, it gets really tight. And a lot of people say like the sacral and root chakra, that's where your stability is located, right? Like your safety. So if you can literally twerk, move it, like hip dance, like, like that opens up the space to release that energy, that trauma from all of, right?
Yeah.
It is beautiful. And yeah, they use it in ceremony, and it's like, go. Do it up. More. Yes.
Girl,
yes.
I didn't know that.
God damn.
Everybody should be
now we're all gonna be
working it up.
Twerking.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, and just like moving
For
the
spiritual
hips.
purposes. Get it out. Like, that's awesome.
But I do agree with the dancing. It's very healing, especially when you can just move freely and just allow your body to express itself, without thinking about whatever. It's just kind of like,
yes.
oh, so nice.
It's so funny too. Like anytime that you're in stagnancy, or anytime you don't want to move, that's the spot that you really should be moving.
Yeah.
Like anytime you're like, oh, like I don't know, like especially the hips, right? Or like the stomach, or even like anything, like you can kind of just like start like moving like this, like people who do, I think that's a kundalini move, is to kind of like get the energy flowing back up from the base of the spine, right? Anywhere that you're like, oh, I just don't want to move this spot, it's so dense, so heavy, like that's the spot that you really should be like, knock knock, what's going on in there? That's where the goodies are, right?
I find it so interesting. Like people don't recognize our bodies tell us everything that you need. So I know in our society, like this is true for me, that's why I say this, but like, oh, my head hurts, my neck hurts, I like better take some Advil, or like your hip is hurting, and I'm like, well, maybe I should move around a little bit more. Like it'll get some stuff moving. I don't know, I was having like sciatica things for a little while, and walking like up and down those hills now, like over here near the house, is really helping a lot. Just to like stretch those parts of the body that we neglect so much. And it's just stagnant energy, which is like mind-blowing but so simple.
And it'll eventually start to weigh you down, and I think that's a reason why we feel like, I don't want to move. The longer you wait to move, the heavier it gets, and it just like piles onto you where you like don't even want to move anymore.
100%. And Mila, like I think you said this either maybe two podcasts ago, but you said like pain is all in the mind, and it truly is. Like people, because the body experiences pain, but then the mind clings on to it. So after your mind clings onto it, it starts the repetition of, this hurts, remember? This hurts. This is supposed to be hurting. So your body can't let it go. When naturally and organically, the body wants to let it go and wants to, okay, we experienced that. It's gone now. It's done now. And it's so interesting because I was having sciatica pain too. And yeah, I was looking into all this stuff, and so many people have looked into how, because chronic pain is huge. Like it's a big problem nowadays. I mean, a lot of the time too, it's because we're a society of sitting. Like we do a lot of sitting. And as well, like if we do movement, like I was saying earlier, like when people hit the gym, like they're just like doing curls or, you know, pressing like 300 pounds above their head. Like, I mean, maybe sometimes you would be doing that way back when. But it's so much strain on the body. And yeah, it's so interesting that the mind wants to, like, I don't know, grab onto it and hold on to it and not let it go. And sorry, I'm kind of hopping all over the place. To another thing, Mila, when you just said what you said, was that, like, if you're having sciatica pain, it's so interesting because it'll connect up to, like, your shoulder sometimes. Like pain, like it connects everywhere. So if you're having pain in one spot and then you're also having pain in another spot, like, you can heal both of them, like, at the same time. Like, if you just kind of, like, work on one spot, it'll start moving around. It's interesting to watch how it'll start, like, moving around your body, and then all of a sudden, maybe one day, like, it'll just all be gone. You'll be like, what the fuck?
It's because
I love that.
I
love
think it's
those days.
interesting because over the last little while, I've realized that chronic pain is literally partially due to, you know, what you guys were talking about, being sedentary, not moving around a lot, but it's also a part of you holding on to that pain.
The trauma of it, right?
So there is so much trauma that goes along with so much pain, and that's why it's hard to let go. That's why it becomes chronic. After my car accidents, I was in pain for such a very long time, where I shouldn't have been in pain for a long time, but I was holding on to it for years and years. And it's interesting when you guys are talking about, oh, like, the pain will move here, it'll move here. It's because it's the same pain. You're just holding it in your body in different places, wherever the trauma is, you know? So it's
100%.
It's definitely a trauma release. It's not always going to be a physical. Obviously, I'm not calling out people who have chronic pain and being like, oh, like, you just need to have your trauma fixed. It's a huge part of it, but it's not always everything, right? It should be something that you should try out, of releasing that trauma, trying to figure out where this pain is coming from and where you are holding the pain in the body, and really focusing on trying to heal that and trying to heal the energy from that, and seeing, you know, where is your pain now?
Yeah, it's cool. Just move, baby.
Move around. Yeah.
Yes. And your body wants to be your friend. I think people get so angry at the body and they start, like, resenting themselves and, like, why is this happening to me? Why won't it go away? Why is my body against me? And it's sad because the body just wants to support you. But when we start, like, developing these, and it's from the nervous system, like, this is connected to anxiety, depression, trauma, panic, like, it just wants to protect you. So it's like, okay, we'll store this in this area of your body, and it's going to hurt until you're ready to open it up. And yeah, like Becca's saying, I'm not saying that your pain isn't real. It's 100% real. But two, we don't need to be angry at the body. Instead, we could look at the body and say, I'm sorry, let's work together because I can see that you're trying to tell me something.
Yeah, I also want to add on to that. If you're at war with the body, who wins and who loses, you know?
Yep.
Like, you're in fight against yourself if you
and you.
The body. Yeah.
We are
Nobody
one.
wins, yeah. It's just, you know?
100%. Yes.
That's a good point. Yeah. Like, for me with stagnancy, like, I've had a point in my life, I've always kind of moved. Like, I played soccer, I was moving all the time. And then I came, you know, right out of school and went right to, like, running my own landscaping business. So again, moving a lot. But I did have, like, I think one winter off one year, and I was like, I'm not doing snow removal kind of thing. And I was just sitting a lot. I didn't really work out that winter. And I got, like, so depressed by the end of that. You feel so gross, like, if you don't have some form of movement each and every day. I really experienced, like, what that causes depression wise. And I was like, oh my God, like, I've got to start running again. I got to get out into nature again and move, right? because you can get really sick. You can get really, really sick if you're not up and walking and moving the body.
And it can be just for a couple minutes a day. Okay, like it doesn't even have to be, let's go for a hike for 2 hours. Okay, like go outside. And if you're really struggling with getting outside, even go to the end of your driveway and like breathe in the fresh air.
No
and,
one
like,
ever regrets it.
No one regrets it.
You're always like, oh, I'm so glad I did that. Oh, it's so beautiful. I'm so glad I went on that dip. I'm so glad I went on that run. Like, usually, if you do things because you love yourself, that's the major difference. You're not doing it because I know there's a lot of body image issues and a lot of that kind of stuff that goes around society, especially for like our young generation, like your little sisters or your little brothers. So it's not about that. It's doing it because you love yourself. It's a form of prayer for us as well.
Yeah, that's the only way to make it last too, right? Like you'll probably burn out if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, or you'll give up going to the gym, or you'll give up doing this, you know? If you can cultivate that, kind of like Becca's saying, like do the wound healing, figure out how to incorporate unconditional love into your system, and you're naturally gonna wanna like get out and go see the trees and, you know, get out and do some of this movement like we're saying. And yeah, another thing I wanted to mention about like my experience with movement is like soccer. Like I was moving a lot, but it's very like, you know, stiff. I found like I was still, you know, that type of movement was still very like, it was good, but it was a certain type, right? And so I found that because I was only doing those movements, and even the gym, like if you're doing a lot of weights, that's a lot of like stiff movement. And kind of what we were talking about earlier, it's really important to shake, you know, to get in the flow too. Like do different types of movements, like slow movement as well, right? Slow and fast. Because like I still had a lot of trauma stuck in the body, even though I was moving a lot, because I wasn't doing some of that flowy movement. I wasn't shaking the hips out like Grace was saying with the twerking, right? Or with just shaking your hips. And getting different areas moving. Like it's a whole, you know, it's a whole picture that we have to look at, and it's all encompassing, and it's each area of the body.
100%.
We're also so unaware of movement. Sorry, Grace, what were you saying?
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, when you do move, your brain creates amazing positive hormones. Like all of them, like endorphins, serotonin, dopamine, even like I wrote down what it was called, but it's literally like a cannabis type hormone. I believe it's called like a cannabis. Oh shoot!
Makes you feel high.
Literally makes you feel high.
And that's very true.
Yeah. It does,
running.
right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
you literally you go into like a trance and you're like, oh my gosh, I feel like it's so good for you. And that's why, like, I think a lot of the times we, for some reason, the ego tries to pit us against ourselves. Like, I don't want to move, I don't want to, but like Mila was saying, you never regret it, because you do. Your brain creates these happy chemicals, happy hormones, and yeah, you just feel good. And two, with anxiety and stress, if you are having a panic attack or having, sorry, trigger warning, if you're having a tough time, you can start moving, and your brain will switch its chemical reaction, and it'll say, oh, I'm working out. Because you do get your adrenaline up when you are working out. Your heart starts beating fast. So if you can kick into that I'm working out, you start creating these like happy hormones in your brain, you can kind of switch. And it's because like in the olden days when we were running from tigers or whatever, you know, you were scared. But now if you're sitting in your room remembering a memory, and you start panicking and you're just sitting there and all this adrenaline's coming up and you can't move, like it has nowhere to go. So it's just stuck in your body. So if you can get up and just shake for like 2 minutes, even like a minute, you'll feel so much better. And I've tried this and it works. Like it's it really works.
Even like a 5 minute, like I do that too. For me, whenever I get overwhelmed, I'll just step outside the house, do like a round walk, like really gentle walk, and just like process everything. And even sometimes I would just dance randomly, and yeah, it really helps.
I love that.
I've heard that too with panic attacks. It's because you're like matching the frequency level almost of your panic attack by working out, you know, like Grace was saying. And I've also heard that if you're like having a panic attack, you can do ice water with the hands or the face, like the cold therapy. It shocks the system and it can bring people out. Like it can just bring you into like your body more, I think, is what it is, and out of the mind, right? So again,
Same with
working out
breath
does
work.
that too. Ooh, breath work.
Yes, breath work. Another one. Isn't it beautiful? Like the body has so many means of like just, I don't know.
Healing itself.
Yeah.
Yes, naturally and organically. And too with the breath, that's a beautiful thing to bring up, Mila, because when you elongate your exhale, like your body naturally starts to relax, right? Like we can just hack everything. Like we can just like
You can control.
you can control yourself at all times. And it's frustrating how like why we get stuck in these things and we decide inside of ourselves or in our mind that like I don't have control. I'm at the whim of my circumstances. I don't know why this.
It's programming.
It's really built into society. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so annoying.
It's pure
It's
alchemy,
because no
guys,
one
like,
is relying on themselves, right? They're constantly looking to someone else to make their lives better. Oh, let me just go see what the news anchor is saying today, or let me just listen to the radio in my car, and that's where I'm getting my information from. So I think that's probably the reason people just need something to cling on to instead of just turning inside towards yourself. Like, what do I need? What's going to make me feel better? I know just if I'm ever feeling down, I just love to like play with the dog. That makes me feel happy always. Just throw the ball with him or go crazy, like run around like a crazy person with him. And it's good for both of us. He's so cute. Yeah.
Love dogs.
Oh, yeah, that's great advice. Yeah, you got to find that thing that you love, you know, that you can get you out of those grooves. And again, it comes back to the healing work again, like we've talked about already. Like we figure out where you need to, you know, bring more love into your body so that you do feel aligned to organic life and movement and love and dance and all these things.
Getting back to the frequency of the earth. I feel like that's kind of what dance is, and even any kind of movement. You're like trying to match the frequency of the earth, right? Because like we were talking about before, you're trying to match to like the panic attack frequency, right? Your body's trying to match that. But like, what are you trying to do when you're like calm and like just vibing or dancing? You're like trying to match the frequency of the earth, you know? Getting back to that.
That's beautiful.
Back to the source, baby.
Get back to that source, the twerking source. Yes.
Yeah.
The twerking source.
She's never gonna let that one go.
I learned something new today, guys.
She's gonna be twerking all over the place.
Yeah.
I love
Releasing that energy.
We should be.
I love it.
It's funny because like someone told me they shake their hips and stuff to release trauma, so that makes so much sense that the twerking does that. And also what I was gonna say, guys, like if you're struggling with, you know, having a workout routine, like start really small. Like start with like maybe this is a good recommendation for you, or maybe you can think of something better for you, but start with like I like to like, you know, get up a bit earlier than my partner, you know, at a good time for me in the morning, and just go on a walk by myself. And just go and breathe in nature. I'm not talking to anybody. I'm just enjoying like life and saying good morning to life, but it's also a good way to get moving, like first thing during, you know, the day. Like first thing you do is go out, go for a little walk. Maybe it's just 5 minutes, maybe it's 10 minutes, whatever you can fit in kind of thing. But I really love to do that, and it's like addicting. Once you start doing it, you're like, oh, I can never not start my mornings, you know, doing that.
Some fresh air.
Very peaceful.
100%. Yeah, I think we should all share like our little recommendations of movement. Mine is, yeah, morning. I always move my body, and sometimes it's more of a gentle, like I just want to do yoga or gentle movements, gentle dance. Sometimes I get up and I'm like, we're gonna do cardio. And I do have this beautiful recommendation of a workout, I guess you could call it. It's called The Class. And what they do is they like have sessions that they do online, and it's all about like yelling. And when you're like doing a jumping jack, you literally yell, because a lot of the times like you'll have like emotion come up when you're moving. Like sometimes it's anger, and they're always like, where are you right now? Where are you right now? Because when you're in repetitive motion or repetitive movement, you kind of get into like this trance, like a meditative state. So it's like, where am I? Where am I? Right?
100%.
And then if you can start like shouting and like I don't know, like it's just so beautiful. So I do recommend that, and just like be expressive. Like just like if that's your space that you're taking to move, just move. Like move energy, move your body, and you can be gentle with it. They have been saying too, like you can be gentle with it, you can be aggressive with it, whatever you need. I would go day to day, intuitive. Yeah, it's good stuff.
For me, guys, so one thing that I've learned is that the mind seeks, or the mind wants freedom, but the body wants routine. And so for the body, for me, I like to start my day with movement, and just get myself kind of wake my body up. And sometimes I like to run just for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then lift some weights. But on the evening, I 1 hour before I sleep, I do a little bit of like light stretches, a little bit of light yoga, just to kind of like tell my body, okay, it's time to sleep. And then sports, and I like to dance also a lot. And and when you start getting into these things, it's really about what works for you, right? You can try different routines, try different techniques, but you got to listen to what your body is saying, because at the end of the day, this is your vehicle, and it knows what it needs. You just have to listen.
For me, like maybe I'll teach this to you guys in the future, but I like to do like quantum flow. Like I said, that's kind of the same as qigong. You're incorporating energy work, and then like Aikido as well. I haven't been able to go since like the whole COVID sickness thing, unfortunately, to the gyms, but Aikido is, again, like you're working with chi, you're learning how to take down big men, easy peasy. And like it's really powerful. It's a lot of people who I've talked to who do martial arts have said Aikido is like their favorite one, and it's the one I'm most resonant to. So you could look into that, because for me, I find like it is hard when you're like trying to motivate yourself, but if you throw yourself like on a basketball team or into a martial art where you have to go to class like a couple times a week, that's a great way to like get yourself out there. And then you want to kind of like be fit and stuff, so I better start going for runs so I don't look like I'm super unfit in front of my coach. So yeah, I'd recommend that if it's not possible right now because of COVID. I totally understand that too. And that's when YouTube is great, and just YouTubing qigong or aikido and learning a couple exercises.
Yeah, definitely. I would just say like do something that you love with people that you love. So it doesn't have to always kind of feel like a routine, like, ugh, I have to go do that thing. Yeah. I just love a good walk, fresh air. You really want to do yoga in the forest.
Yeah.
Flow with the trees.
Yeah. For me, mine's just having a good walk. I like to get my movement in by doing housework. I know it sounds like kind of dumb, but anything that gets me moving and like going. Love it. Being outside in nature. Love it.
She definitely learned how to vacuum from like her Singapore, her grandma from Singapore. 1, 2, 3. Now next spot.
It's a full body workout.
Yeah, just crazy. But I would also do maybe like some kind of form of music if you play music, or like art, or whatever your passion is, because you can have all sorts of movement in each thing that you do. Like if you're playing an instrument that's not maybe like piano, you can still get up and move and play. And if you're doing art, you can still stand and move. And I think these are all important things to remember when you are just talking about movement, because what is movement? It's anything that like gets you up and like gets you to be doing something that's not sedentary, right? It could be passion, it could be walking, it could be exercising, it could be dipping, it could be anything that you want it to be, as long as it's something that you really enjoy.
I was just thinking with the artwork thing that you're saying, like, you know, when they're doing those,
You could like dance.
those crazy ones where they're like just flinging the paint around.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's definitely movement.
Totally.
Oh my gosh.
That sounds so fun. We have to do that when we're together. Like, that sounds like the best fucking time. Oh my god, imagine all of us painting like that.
I love that.
We have to like Dexter your studio.
Yeah, and then just go crazy in there.
Dexterify it with tape, like tape the whole walls with what is he?
Oh my
use?
gosh.
I don't know. Poly.
I think she loves that
Something.
idea.
Okay.
That's
well,
so
next
funny.
week.
Yeah, there's so many ways, hey? And like you were saying, King, like dance is cool because, again, like I'll bring up my soccer, it's very structured, or muscles, you know, weights and weight training, it's very structured. The dance, like, ooh, baby, you can be free. Like, you can make noise, like Grace is saying. Get your fucking drum out, Get your drum out and just bang that baby and just let out whatever wants to come out.
Yeah.
Yay! And stuff, you know?
Yes. Well, that's
100%. Oh my.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. Too, I want to just touch on something King said, because I think stretching before bed, it is really good for you, because I've read that it helps you, helps with blood flow, and it helps like you reset overnight. And it's interesting because I was having like not anything intense, but like my legs were kind of twitchy and like they couldn't relax when I was getting into bed, and I was like, what the heck is going on? So I started stretching and it went away. So if you just stretch your body before you go to bed, sometimes like you'll just pass out.
That stagnant energy kind of come out.
Yeah.
And my body was literally telling me like I have energy stuck in here, you know, so I just needed to stretch it out.
It's to balance.
Yes. Yeah.
I think before any form of movement, a good stretch is always good, right? Like you want to just open up the body, get the blood flowing. Like stretch should be something you do every day, for at least 5 to 10 minutes, because you'll feel so good. Even if you just stretched and you maybe didn't get your walk in that day or your exercise, it's fine, you know, as long as you get your stretch in, like you'll feel so good still.
Because as we get older, our body's gonna deteriorate, and stretching helps to slow that. That's the reality. There's no escaping that. And the only thing we can do is like, how can we, you know, prolong that youthfulness? And I think stretching every day for the rest of your life can really lengthen that. So
you'll be grateful for it later.
Oh yeah,
because
100%.
Tanny's dad was over the other night and he's like, oh yeah, your knees start to get real bad and your back, like he was having a hard time like building the wall with me, and I was like, oh, that's not good. And then I'm like terrified to get old. I don't know what you guys, that sounds like the worst time ever, so I'm gonna do everything I can.
Yeah.
I can tell you guys right now already, like you're a few years younger than me, and like I can definitely tell the difference between like 25 and 30. And like that's not much of a difference.
Oopsie.
But it is.
We're hacking it. We're hacking it.
We're gonna hack it.
We're gonna hack it.
We're hacking it.
We're not aging.
Exactly.
Because you know what? You'll see people in India, yogis, they are doing handstand and they are 90 years old.
Yeah.
With one hand. I saw them do one hand.
Yes.
It's like, dude, you can just be in touch.
This body
it's
is
all about
amazing,
that
right?
lifestyle.
Like, damn.
It is the life. lifestyle, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
So we aren't aging, so you can you can join us on this journey.
And this is where I
yeah.
stop aging. Yeah.
Yes, immortal.
I shall stop eating. I command my body to no longer age.
I bet you could.
Yeah, who knows? Cell
Oh, yeah.
degeneration could be a mindset thing. Never know.
It probably is. I mean,
Not telling you
People
it
live
is
for,
or
like,
isn't, but
thousands of years.
Look into that.
Yeah.
Maybe
100%.
that is the thing that's not for this podcast. We'll leave that one.
It's not Keep you guys on edge. Wait for our cell degeneration podcast where we
Yeah.
talk on living for 1,000 years.
Next time on Visual Astrology.
Oh,
I love that.
goodness.
Oh my god. Okay, any last comments?
Just move, guys. Just move.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, love yourself. Hold
Love
your heart, you know. And just if you don't feel like moving, just get up and start the screaming and get that energy out.
Or just pour it out,
Just start
and
the
you'll be good to go.
screaming. Beautiful.
Love you all.
Yes, love you
I
guys.
love you
Thank you so
guys.
much for listening.
Bye.
Peace.
Soon.